welcome back to another Tasting Room Conversations. I am thrilled to be here today talking with two very wonderful women about a place that is near and dear to my heart, very near and dear to your hearts, becoming more and more so in my world. We're talking about Lincoln, Maine, right? And I am so excited to have Kelly Ryder and Ruth Birtz, both from the, let me get this right, Events and Tourism Committee.
That's right.
In Lincoln, Maine, right? So
that's right. 04457, Lincoln, Maine.
Look at that. Oh, snap. So, just to give the perspective, because I've said in these tasting room conversations before, I'm an Orrington boy. I went to Brewer High School. So my connections to Lincoln were, my family has been fortunate enough to be able to purchase a camp in Lincoln. And so we spend a lot of time up there in the summer. My wife, Lindsay's a teacher, and my kids are growing up in Lincoln all summer. And we have been so blown away by the way Lincoln has grabbed on to being an incredible recreation hub just outside of the Bangor market, and really, in my view, I mean, this is going to maybe be offensive, but
here it comes. Are you going to say stinking Lincoln?
I didn't. She did. She did. Did you hear that? See how I set that up?
It follows us wherever we go, and that is what we're trying to tell people. We don't stink anymore.
Right.
It's gone. The stink is gone, and now you can see what we really are about.
Success.
Really?
Just playing with you.
No, I like that.
Well, that's what our parents always told us when we complained about it.
Yeah.
That's the smell of success. If you didn't have the mill, you wouldn't have the people here.
And that's entirely true.
It was
at that point in
true.
time in the way Maine's economy was. If you were a town that had a mill, it was
you smelled
it. It was it. I mean, and it was huge.
And you could walk out of high school and make your living.
Right.
My grandfather worked at in a different town, but he worked at a mill, and he put 6 kids through college.
Wow.
And my grandmother stayed home, and on his pension he could retire and take 2 months to go to Spain every year. Like, that's insane. Like, to think about how much of a life that would have been, like that's the real middle class, and when you lose that, it's
and it's unfortunate, honestly. Like, we're talking about what's next in this conversation, because you guys are pushing for what's next, and that's really exciting. But it also, I want to be careful to say, those times in the heyday of those mills, those were great times for a lot of communities in Maine, and we should be proud of that part of our story.
Absolutely.
And we should celebrate the towns that still have mills that are working and doing those sorts of things. But the reality for Lincoln is
we're on to the
next thing.
Right, we got to keep moving forward. We're not.
I think the good thing. I think the good thing about Lincoln is that in the '60s we had a mill closure, and the townspeople all got together and bought stock, and eventually sold it to a private owner that reopened it, and it ran very well until its first closure in 2004.
Yep.
And that's when the town really, they always had set aside a fund for that day when it would close again, because they had gone through it. That's when they said, okay, we've watched what's happening in other towns, we've seen what's happening, and it is just not realistic to think that this is going to continue forever, knowing the age and the condition of the mill and what it would cost to do all the upgrades needed to make it competitive in the paper market today.
Well, and the paper market is crazy competitive.
Yeah, and it's global now.
Yeah.
And when we first had paper manufacturing start in Maine, it wasn't global. It was more, regional. So at that point in time, there were a lot of things that started to move forward in the town of Lincoln, be it we need to have a plan if this happens, where we're moving to.
And this was 2004 range?
It was 2004 when it first started. And we got some companies out of Portland to do some marketing studies to see what we really needed to do to move forward. And the one thing that we fell short of, because we're a little town, was the marketing aspect. Okay, what do we call ourselves moving forward? What do we want to promote? What's our plan? What do we see Lincoln looking like, 50 years from now? And that was the impetus that formed the Events Tourism Committee, because they wanted a committee that would help establish events that would put Lincoln on the map, would get people's attention to Lincoln and draw people into town. And I don't think we ever had any idea that in the short period of time that the committee has been working, that we would meet our goals so quickly.
Yeah.
We have such a huge group that's so energetic and so great. It's just a lot of fun being part of it, I think.
And we've been connected to Lincoln for a few years now, and we're seeing just incredible growth even over the last couple of years. You know, it's been amazing for me to see, you know, the depth to which the marketing of Lincoln as that recreational hub has really started to and not started to, it had been going, but even still is chugging along and adding stuff and growing and,
all of that is very
changing.
thought out.
Yeah.
And very
Yeah, it is.
I work for the company that does the marketing for the town of Lincoln, and every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and we have we worked before the Events Tourism Committee was formed. There was an Economic Development Committee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
So
kind
we
of
worked very tightly with them, and they brought the firm I work for, Design Lab, on. Sorry.
Okay.
That's all right.
We're dropping it. Design Lab. What's up? Millinocket, Maine. What's up?
That's fine.
Anyway, so we but because of that was the predecessor
their
to this events
expertise that they brought, because as I said earlier, in a conversation with Kelly on the way down, I'm a municipal employee. I have no background in marketing.
She's not the tax assessor.
I'm not the tax assessor. Don't pay any attention to that. I'm really a nice person. I'm not bad at all. So anyway, we hired Design Labs, and the purpose of having them bring their marketing expertise, so we could come up with a branding, so we could come up with a logo, and they have been fabulous. Any idea our committee has, they just run with it with marketing that none of us would have had a clue how to do without their help. So that helps a lot when you've got a good team behind you to do that. But
so like the Loon, right? So
right.
I can tell you a little bit of a background of all these things. So basically, like, a loon only nests in the cleanest of waters. Mm-hmm. So what the Loon developed into the logo, but it wasn't just like, oh hey, a loon's cute. There's a lot of thought behind it. We go from being the perennial stinking Lincoln, I mean, like, that sort of, everybody knows Lincoln because it rhymes, and that's just kind of, that's what we were kind of stuck with. And moving forward, how do we change it? So a loon represents, also we're blessed with, you have a camp there.
Gosh.
I mean,
there are so many loons.
As soon as I can, I open my windows. I live on a lake too, and I listen to them call all night. And that, if I've lived away, and that sound is like the best thing. But that's why, so the loon is developed into the logo.
Yep.
And it's a symbol of, it's fresh, it's clean, and it's a symbol of our town. So there's a little bit of controversy when we put the giant loon in our town, but honestly, as a marketer,
and
you want to talk about the loon? Let's talk
in every town, there's a balance and there's a struggle, and every choice a municipality makes is going to find opposition. There are going to be people that love it and hate it. And the unique thing about a municipality is, if you make a decision as a business and people don't like it,
on you.
They stop coming to your brewery, they stop coming to your
the
restaurant, they
decides.
stop buying from you, the market decides. You folks, as people who live in this town, who are working to make decisions for this town, when you make a decision that somebody doesn't like, they have skin in the game, and it's not like they're moving out of town and they've got these are my tax dollars and these sorts of things, and so it makes a scenario where it's really difficult for municipalities to move even in the same direction that they've always been going in. But when you start moving in perhaps new directions, holy oh Lord! So putting up a loon.
For those of you that don't know, it's
depending
like
on the way the sun's
giant
going, that
loon.
loon's near the shadow of that mill. You're
Yeah.
making a big old statement. But I got to tell you, from the perspective of what you're looking at doing, my kids know that we're close to camp when they see the loon. When we rolled into town, my mom had
You got your picture
always.
taken on the loon,
My
right?
mom.
You
I
must
haven't
have
yet.
done it.
I haven't yet. I
Oh my
will.
God.
You
Send
have
it to
to.
me when
I
you
will,
do.
I will.
Yeah, you
I will.
have to.
My mom was so excited about the prospect of she and my father having worked their whole lives and being able to finally buy a camp, which had been a dream of theirs, that my wife and I were able to go in with them and make this thing happen. And she loves loons, absolutely loves loons.
People love loons.
And always has loved loons since we were going camping at Whispering Pines on Toddy Pond way back in the day when we slept in a tent, and that was our camp.
Yep.
And that's how I grew up. And so for us to be in a position to be looking at the reality of purchasing a camp was wild in and of itself. And then to roll into a town where you roll in and here's this loon. She was like, this is it. This is it. This is gonna be our other home.
The funny thing with the loon is, as in a marketing standpoint,
Yeah.
the amount of publicity that loon has brought, the amount of people you
It's
see
huge.
all summer
It's
taking their
huge.
picture. Every time we have an event, we have bands that take their picture on it. Our comedy festival, all the comics wanted their picture taken with the loon. Like, it has slowly become an icon. And yes, people were kind of opposed to it and thinking,
Why
it's
are
a
we
kind
spending
of,
money on this?
why are we
You know,
buying
yeah,
a loon?
yeah.
It's everybody lost their minds. But
Yeah.
as a marketer, you can't buy that kind of publicity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
everybody, prom kids take their pictures at the loon, little league teams, every single person you
Yeah.
see loves it.
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of one of those things. I can remember the gazebo is behind the loon. Nobody wanted that gazebo there at first.
Right.
There is a building that is like elderly housing. Why would we ever do this? And now it feels like it's always been there. And
Yeah.
and it's just one of those things, like, it's kind of silly and goofy, but it's in like this oddball, like, American roadside oddities website. Like,
That's
people
awesome.
people come and like want to check it out.
And it's a
So,
focal
I mean,
point. You know, it's a
it
focal
is.
point
It
of,
is.
of the downtown area. It really,
Yeah, it's
it
just
really
a
is.
fun thing that people
I think
can
it
do.
did exactly what it was intended to do.
Yeah.
It has become what exactly it was intended to do, to make people stop, go take their picture with the loon, and then look up the street and say, hey, wow, they've got a really nice downtown. Maybe I'll check it out. And it's done that.
Well, and what we haven't said is, if you haven't been up to Lincoln, when you pull in and you are looking at this loon, you're also looking across the lake that is
Right.
the centerpiece of your downtown.
It
and
is.
and
It's right
the
there,
land
yeah.
of 13 lakes, right?
That's right,
And,
right,
that's
I
right.
mean, we counted a few of them in odd ways
We
Yeah.
to
did.
get to 13.
We,
But
actually, if we counted them individually by name, there
Uh-huh.
would be 14.
okay.
You're missing a few because you don't know the hidden treasures that
All
are
right.
in the woods.
All right.
You will know.
I'll
Like,
go
for
find 'em.
instance, you don't know Little Round Pond that actually is controlled by the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife.
Okay.
You can only walk into it. You can't have boats on it, and
All
you
right.
have to walk in. You can take a kayak and a canoe, and it is totally 100% a brown trout fishery.
Ooh, trout.
You
See,
know what
I'm
else?
more of a
Yeah.
bass guy.
You know
I
what
love
else
slaying
Lincoln
bass.
has
Yeah.
that maybe some other small towns don't have? We have a fishing pond. It's called Edwards Family Fishing Pond on the access road right when
Yeah.
you come
For
in.
kids.
It's just for kids, and we stock it with trout every year.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. Like, that's just for
Yeah.
kids. There's also, maybe you take your kids. This is Rocky Brook. You can go, and that's just, it's like brook. You get brookies. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's
It's-
just for kids. Like, we really try to gear it for families. In
It
our
definitely
town.
is.
It's a great town.
It definitely is, and the restaurants that are there
And bass
that are
fishing,
growing
yeah.
are really open to. It's all family atmosphere.
Oh,
It's
it
all
is.
family
It definitely
atmosphere.
is.
We connected our company for the first time with you guys at one of your events, and I'm
Right.
bringing this up because I want to talk about the events. You're not
Yeah.
just sitting in a room saying we want to build a loon and we want to have this and we want to do that.
No, we put a
You
lot of
guys
time into it.
are really event focused.
Yes,
and
very
we,
much so.
we connected because I'd been up there and really excited about it. We have a lot of support for our brand in Lincoln from the stores and the restaurants and everything, and we've had a lot of connections that we've made through different events from a sort of corporate perspective. And
Right.
we reached out. Did we reach out to you, or you reach out? We kind of reached out together. We kind of met in the middle. I think
it was kind of a meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And the first year we connected, it didn't work out that it was possible. And the second year,
Right.
everything sort of came together really nicely.
Yeah.
And you were at our event, and it was a fabulous.
Yeah,
event.
so we got together for the Harvest Moon Festival for the
Right.
dinner, and it was just a fantastic time. We were able to bring some beers to share with you guys and celebrate, and you put on a great dinner.
It's all volunteer.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
Man, we had like the high school football team waiting on
Yep.
people. Those kids didn't know how to wait
Yep.
tables.
Yep.
They
But
jammed it out.
we
It was awesome.
were a
It
little
worked.
worried about the football players,
They
but
were
actually
awesome.
they did
They were
great.
awesome.
They were so awesome.
Yeah, I spent a
Go
little time
Lynx.
talking with the coach afterwards.
Yeah, Pat, he's awesome. Yeah, they're great.
It's like, so there's their career through college.
Yeah.
They can make extra money waiting tables.
You know,
because
You
they
always,
wait
yeah,
tables.
you can. You definitely can.
But the Harvest Moon Festival is a new event for Lincoln, and that was the idea of Angie Belk of Tim Hortons, who at the time
She's a champion for
she
our town,
is. She
like,
got Volunteer
Yeah.
of the Year through the chamber. I think it might have been 2 years
Couple
ago.
years ago.
2 years ago.
She does a lot.
But
She's awesome.
her brainchild was to have a Harvest Moon Festival where everything that you had on your table was grown in Maine,
Yeah.
including the meat. And it was to celebrate Maine farmers and have a traditional sit-down farm table dinner. And, we thought it would be great if we could have, a local brewery come. We thought it'd be great if we represented a local farm that raised
Yeah.
beef and everything else. And
And the
it,
vegetables too. We got Jordan Farms.
Jordan
It's
Farms.
Chester, it's next door. They're awesome, and they do a lot of like. They give food to what's
the
it called? Good Shepherd.
Good
Food Bank.
Shepherds, they're a
Yeah.
huge
Those
donator
guys,
to their.
and they're young. They're a young couple that just
Awesome.
They just did it.
That's
you know.
cool.
I think
Yeah.
I almost want to say he worked at the mill in it.
Okay.
When that happened, and
He did.
And I think he switched
Yeah.
gears, and now he
Yeah.
has this beautiful
Yeah,
farm.
yeah.
like-
I actually met him
Oh, they're great.
through Good Shepherd Food Bank. We did another beer thing,
Yeah,
and this is
yeah,
kind of going down
they
a rabbit
are
hole,
the
but
real
yeah,
deal. Sorry,
that's awesome.
that's what
no,
I
no,
do.
no, and that's what this is about.
But
This
it's
is celebrating
they are
people.
the real deal. They not to go off the rails too much.
It's okay.
But they
We'll go
have
down.
this awesome corn maze in the fall.
In the
and like,
fall.
Awesome.
man, if you should come for
I-
that. Like check it out. Like
we
bring your
have to.
kids because
Yeah.
it's super fun. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's a super dry summer, then you could easily find your way out. But like if we get some rain, it's pretty fun.
So it all came together, and you were there last
Yeah.
year, and it was just a
Yeah,
really
it was
wonderful
awesome.
event. The goal of the committee has been right along that they want to have at least an event a month, and we are like 3 months away from
Yeah.
having that happen. And as it turns out, your lovely Lisa and
Yeah.
I are working on getting a grant that will help fund
Yep.
event that you want to help spearhead, which is an ice fishing derby in January,
Yeah.
where we
Yes,
have
let's
like
do
an
it.
ice bar on the lake, and we just this year started a big
was
skating
so
rink
great.
for the public. So
Yeah, we did
thought
that.
we could couple that. The idea is to couple your event, your derby, with the ice skating with a big bonfire,
Yeah.
and then bring in our local chamber who has a chili festival. What goes better?
We'll make a beer to
What goes
celebrate
better?
it, right?
We could get a
Yeah.
band.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what I'm thinking. We'll
Yeah.
see. I mean,
And
We
this
can,
is-
we can make it happen.
Who's
We
in?
made some crazy
Who's
stuff
in?
happen.
Everybody's
Yeah.
in. And this is how our wheels
Ruth's
go.
on it. Everybody's in. Do you
Yeah,
hear that?
Everybody's
Yeah.
in.
Interwebs, everybody's in.
Everybody's
if you're
in.
not, you're
We
wrong.
might just do some pickup pond hockey tournaments too.
Let's just do it all. Yeah, and
With
see,
that ice right there, the possibilities are endless. Really.
this is what I'm talking about with the perspective that you guys have. It's so refreshing, and it's a challenge. And I want to say that again, like to balance your responsibility to the town and being good stewards of the funds and all this sort of stuff, and the sort of right now versus the long-term plan. You gotta balance those things. But I love the perspective that you are bringing to the table through this events tourism committee to challenge and push and make things happen that might not have been happening.
We have a comedy festival in our town.
Yeah.
It's called the Lincoln Comedy Festival. It was February 8th and February 9th.
Yeah.
And honestly, the Harvest Festival is great, but just for a second to go on about this, basically, at Christmas time we have a Christmas parade, the tree lighting ceremony, we have breakfast.
Which we're
with
going to have
Santa.
real reindeer this year.
It's awesome.
Real reindeer.
Real reindeer are on the books. We had that, and then there's kind of a little lull in between. So
there's definitely a lull.
I have some friends. I have a friend. He's a stand-up. He opens for like Lenny Clark and stuff down in Boston.
Okay.
And I messaged him and I said, hey, I'm kind of gonna pitch to my committee a comedy festival because I do I'm like one of those like dream stand-ups. You know what I mean? Like every once in a while, I will like grab an open mic and just like throw it down and then be like,
live it up, do
whatever,
it. You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Like I'm not like a pro at it or whatever, but my heart's in comedy. So I messaged him and I was like, yo, you've been telling me you're coming up to visit anyway. Can you throw together a lineup for me of your comic friends and come up and I'll see if I can make it happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, let me work on it. And I said, all right, it's far. He lives on Cape Cod, so I'm like, it's far.
It's a jaunt.
When you tell people they're coming to Maine, they think they're coming to Portland, maybe Bar Harbor. We're not, but I'm like, no, keep on trucking, you'll get there. And so what happened is, it's a funny story because he was like, we're in. Because like hungry comics, they just want to come. They want a mic and they want to do it. And they were all
in a place that's new, that's exciting.
Right, and it's exciting for us as a town because we don't have that much entertainment all the time. So they were in. Just so happened that Ruth was going somewhere.
Well, how it turned out is that we originally started with one night. And of course, the committee is variable ages from millennials to, almost retirees.
And we have a good group.
And we have a good group. Well, they thought they wanted a family-friendly comedy, so they thought, well, Tim Sample would be a great thing. So then Kelly comes in and she texts me, she says, I just talked to my friend and they said they'd come up and it'd be a really great thing and I think we ought to do it. And I said, yeah, we should. And she says, but they're not really family-friendly.
They're like stand-ups.
See what I mean? So I said to her, I said, that's no problem. Why don't we just have it 2 nights?
Why not?
One family-friendly and one for adults only. And we can have a bar at the adult comedy night, and cater to the 2 different crowds. So everybody has a venue in the middle of the winter when there's not really a lot to do. And we'll coincide it with the snowcross races at the Snowhounds Club because we've got all these people coming in to see
cross-marketing.
These races. And so Kelly's like, wow, that's really cool. That's great. I'll tell my friend. So it just so happens that my husband's mother is a twin. And she and her twin sister are almost 80 years old. And they are pistols. They are so much fun. So we were at a gathering with the family and they said, well, we've never been to a Celtics game. We'd like to go to a Celtics game. So my husband immediately buys tickets to a Celtics game, rents a bus, takes the whole family down to a Celtics game, the twins included. And they were really, everybody catered to them because they were so cute.
Oh, yeah.
So on the way back, we thought we'd stop at the Trading Post in Portland on the way back. We walk in the door. Who's there? Tim Sample. Tim Sample. So I walk up and I said, hi, I'm Ruth Birtz from Lincoln, and we think you should come to Lincoln. Turns out he knew my boss, and he says, have him call me.
Look at that.
There it goes.
There it is.
No coincidence.
Just make it all happen.
Yeah.
And weren't we like a little bit nervous that we weren't going to sell enough tickets?
Every time you do something like that.
You never want to leave the town on the hook for any amount of money because you don't want them to be like, we're not doing that again.
Right.
This is a legit possibility. They might just say, we're scrapping
We're done.
this.
We're over.
So these guys, we were nervous. We had a pipe break. And we had to move the venue, but then we had to move it back. All these little things were happening. I'm texting Ruth,
water
we
main
get into
line
a paper
break.
bag. How do we make this happen? Everything, of course, always works out.
Yeah, water main line break to the
We could have
ice
sold out that second
yeah.
night. We could have sold it out twice.
Yeah.
We had to turn people away.
That's
So this year I've already it's in February, but I've already been shooting those Hail Mary bombs out to
We'll post
any
about it.
comic.
We'll make it
seriously, because I want to build this up.
Awesome.
We build the company I work for made this great logo. We got all.
That's
this
cool.
is going to be a big
So
thing.
you
to get
see
it on
this
the map.
energy?
Yeah.
You see this energy here?
Yeah.
This is what we all have on that committee. Every last
And everybody's
one
good
of
at
us.
different things, and that
they
helps.
are.
And
they
this
take
is what
my
we
crazy
find-
and funnel it into something that works.
And this is what we find in all of these conversations and many conversations that I've had throughout the state with all kinds of different people. there's so much energy in our state. There's so much vibrancy. We talk about how we're an aging population. We talk about how we're seeing our best and our brightest leave. But that's just not the case. It's just not the case anymore. And yeah, the numbers will show you one story, but the vibe and the feel, I really think we're on the cusp of something great.
I do too.
I really think we're on the cusp of something
here.
great.
I
really
do, because I can tell you that the committee, most of the committee is millennials in our group.
Mm-hmm.
We have some varying ages other than that, but most of them are millennials.
Yeah.
And they really contribute an energy that is so refreshing, because so often when you're involved in municipal government, and I'm sure this is true throughout anywhere right now, especially when you're in politics, it's so negative.
Yeah.
And the thing we need to get away from is that attitude, because as you can see from this conversation, the thing that generates results is positive attitudes and a commitment. We're going to get this done. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And the thing is the one thing I know about Maine, and I've experienced my whole life, we may complain, especially when winter drags on.
We're the best at complaining.
Drags on like
one
it
of our
has
features,
lately.
yeah.
Like we keep waiting for that ice to go out in the lake and it still hasn't.
We're so
It's
close.
just because we
I know,
are
we're
just
so close.
poised, ready to jump on those
Yeah.
summer activities that we all enjoy. And we all know how to weather a power outage. We all know how to weather a flood. We all have a resilience that I don't think you can find anywhere else in the state of Maine. Well, that same resilience is that enthusiasm and that idea that this committee has to get things done and make things happen. And you couple the doers that we have in this committee with the economic development director we have now that is out there just hitting the pavement saying, come to Lincoln, we're the place to do business, because look at what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really positive vibe.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. We're all working together for the same goal.
Yeah. Summer's huge because of the camp
Don't you
population.
find
those
summer
sorts of
is
things.
funny though? Because it's so busy.
It is.
In the summer, but Lincoln's so spread out. Like if you've never been there before, geographically, we're spread out. So you'd be like, we could triple our population and you'd never
You
know.
don't know
You
it.
would
You
never
don't
know
feel it.
because of how it's set up.
I'm not going to tell you. I don't think I've already said where our camp is.
You
because
told
I don't
us, but
want
that's
this to
okay.
change. I don't want this to change.
Your super
but
fans coming,
I can
knocking
be
on your camp door.
Well, no, I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about other people coming onto the pond and fishing
Oh,
for
yeah,
my
see, we
bass.
all have that.
Because
Yes.
I post pictures of them sometimes.
You know, that's one thing. The river itself, the Penobscot River,
Oh,
has
it's-
so much
It's
bass.
awesome.
it's the
You could
best.
not
Oh,
see
it's the
anybody
best.
all day and have
that's
the best day of
So,
fishing of your life.
I can go. I can go into town and go to one of these awesome events that you and your committee are supporting, and then that evening I can be sunset fishing and be the only boat on the pond,
It's quiet.
and it's
nice.
it's just
It's
so
nice.
so beautiful.
And that is, she touched upon what makes it the best, is it's got that small town feel.
Yeah.
That small town convenience where everything's
Yeah.
there, but you have those refuge from the
do.
world where you can go out and you can enjoy that
You do.
quiet, enjoy that peace and quiet, listen to the loons on the lake, watch the sunset, catch a bass off the end of your dock.
Yep.
It gives you all of that.
And
And if
honestly, the different lakes have their own like little
Oh, I know,
culture
yeah.
too. Like
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
a Little Narrows girl. Like that's where my camp is. But I also look how dorky am I? I'm like I live on Mattanocket Pond, but I have a camp on Little Narrows.
Yeah.
Like what's up?
Well, and that
Dork,
sounds
but-
like crazy, but in
it's,
Lincoln,
it's different
it's
culture.
doable,
It's
and it's
all
doable.
It's
Yeah.
totally doable. And
Yeah.
man, and there's lakes that like the lake where my camp is somewhat built up, almost residential now, and
Yeah.
it never was, but now it is. But there's still like quiet little ones where you would not see anybody all day, and
Yeah.
we've done a great job of balancing industry and our
I think so too.
resources.
And that's the goal, to continue to move forward to do that.
And I think that's a goal for our
Because
state
we were both
in
on the
general.
the comprehensive plan.
The
committee.
comprehensive
Okay.
plan.
Yeah, so we worked really hard on like visioning where we are now, where do we want to be in 5 years, where do we want to be in 10, where would you like to be in 50 years?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people are thinking about the next day, but we have to think about, like I want to think about what are my grandkids going to see when they come to visit me in Lincoln?
Right.
Maybe they will live next door.
Live next door, right?
Maybe they will.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and now it's like, if you're web-based, you can work from anywhere. Lincoln has high-speed internet. We're not like...
They do have high-speed
We
internet.
do.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we're complete,
Yes,
and
we
we're
do.
on.
I feel like
it's a
we run
three-ring
into this.
binder is a thing.
We run into
That's
this
a thing, right?
What's that?
very often.
Three-ring binder.
Yeah, we have
I'm
that
not sure
running
exactly
through.
what that is. People kick it around. I don't know.
We have like the main core running through the center of town. What we need to do is get it out to the lake areas, though.
But it's
So-
coming.
Yeah,
Like, it's not far.
But
It's
this is a reality too. Like oftentimes, when you get Bangor north, there's a big misconception on what the world's like up there, and I want to get it out there that it's not this backwoods backwater. You've got
But if you want that,
of-
that's available too.
and that's it. You've got all of that recreational opportunity. You've got all of those places you can go and not be in the hustle and bustle. But all of the stuff that you would need to do anything that you would ever want to do.
Yeah, like you can
is
buy
available.
balsamic glaze. You know what I mean? Like
There
fancier,
you go.
like things
You
like
can
if you
get
want arugula,
wacked
we have
fancy.
that.
You
We
got it.
have cheese. We have all the
Got all
fancy
of it.
stuff that
Yeah.
you would want, like in a
Oh
city.
my
We have
Yeah,
that.
you've got it. You've
that
got
too.
it. And comedy shows and
Yeah.
harvest
And great-
dinners
and great schools.
and maybe some ice fishing tournament.
Yes, we're hoping
and
ice
We're gonna
fishing.
get
That would
Whitney's
be great.
involved, maybe.
Yeah.
My guys there.
Your kids can ride their bikes
Yeah,
to school.
it's
like
such,
it's
such
still
a great
that
spot.
sort of like
It's such a great spot, and
timeless place.
to be able to overcome adversity and look at what is next for Lincoln, I think is a great story to look at, a great case study for so many parts of our state, because I really feel like we're at the cusp of something in Maine where
I do too.
there's going to be a new economy. It's going to look different. It's going to feel different, but it's going to be based in the roots that have always been here.
Right.
And that's what Lincoln's done.
We have a
And
lot
you've
of.
done it too. I mean, to toot your horn or whatever. Like,
Well.
I would say that the craft beer industry
Yeah.
in other parts of the country, it's kind of come and gone or whatever. But Maine is like nailing it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
And you know, and there's so many like strong,
Yeah.
and you
I-
are
A
the
lot
prime
of-
example of like how to do it like efficiently, how to grow at a great pace, and really like
I do
you've
want to
done an
give.
awesome job.
Thank
I
you.
do want to give a
Don't
shout
make
out
me
to the
But for
woods
real, like-
businesses that
Yeah.
we have in Lincoln. I want to give a shout out to those wood businesses that are still there, the big ones like Tree
Yeah.
Line,
Tree Line. That's where my dad works.
Crawford's,
Awesome.
Gardeners, all of
Yeah.
these people that, they are very supportive of the fact that they know that their wood business is changing, and they're right there working to help
Yeah.
it change and see it go
And
into
to
a different
pivot.
chapter.
Like new
And that's the
things.
thing. That stuff isn't going away.
It's changing.
It's changing.
It's changing.
It's changing. And there's new that's coming
Right.
in to sit
And
in
these-
harmony with
and
it.
these
CLT,
businesses-
like cross laminated
Not
timber.
just
there's all these
them,
things.
but all the businesses in Lincoln support that idea tremendously. I
Yeah.
mean, half the time we couldn't put on the events we do if we didn't have the help of the sponsorship
Yeah.
of the local businesses.
Yeah.
In small business, like we were making like the master list of businesses in Lincoln.
Yeah.
We're like tapping up on like 200 businesses. Like
That's awesome.
Yep.
there are
Yep.
so
That's awesome.
many small
Well,
businesses
yeah, and that's
in
the
town.
lifeblood. That's
That's
the
how
lifeblood.
Mainers
It
are
really
though.
is.
They're like, we have an idea.
I'm
We're
gonna do it.
entrepreneurs.
I'm gonna do it.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
And that spirit, that's the Mainer spirit. You guys are kind of like our good friend and partner for these things.
Yes, I
because
agree.
I mean, who else would we rather work with? Like,
Well-
I mean, honestly, it's awesome.
And for us, it's cool to have been embraced so much by Lincoln, to be able to find pockets throughout the state, and Lincoln is certainly a town that is near and dear to us and our company and what
Yeah.
we're doing. And there are many towns throughout the state of Maine that are similar. But I really appreciate all the work you two are doing, and so many other people. I mean,
Yeah,
we,
like I
we need
said-
we need to give a shout out and a toast to so many people in Lincoln and so many towns.
Everybody that's trying
Yeah,
in Lincoln,
yeah.
everybody tries in their own pocket of way, whether it's like a church group or a
Yeah.
committee, like
Yeah.
the people you don't like, the people like on the planning board, people that volunteer so much time
Yeah.
that you never hear boo
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts in our town.
Yeah.
There is a lot of moving parts and a
And
lot
they're
of
all awesome people.
participation, and we all work together really, really well, which is something that I wish every town could say, but we have several churches that will work
Yep.
with us. We have, several civic organizations that will work with us. We do a lot with the Chamber of Commerce. we're very, very fortunate that everybody seems to be focused on the same goal, and that is we want to move forward. We don't want to move backwards. We want to enter that new chapter in Lincoln's future, and we're all working for that same goal. And
Well, how about we end our conversation with
We could talk all day.
I know
Yeah, we
we
could.
How about we end it?
You're like,
How about we end it with a cheers to the two of you for the work that you're doing, and for all the wonderful people in Lincoln and in so many towns throughout this great state that are
Here,
doing
here.
the same work to figure out how do we make tomorrow better than yesterday,
Yes.
and incorporate all the
Our
things.
best days are ahead.
I think so too.
I
So
do too.
here's to that. Cheers.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for having us.
Of course.
It's awesome.
Thank you so much.